Good morning, guys. Good afternoon. Can you guys hear me? The online folks? Yeah, perfect. Uh, okay. I hope everyone can see my screen.
Yeah, I can see your screen.
Perfect. Mhm. Okay, let's start. First of all, I think what we can do is just get a introduction going on in the room since we have pretty less crowd, and we can just do like a quick introduction, what you guys do, just to get an idea of what sort of backgrounds are you guys from, and then I can sort of maybe put that into context in the presentation and then take it from there. So I guess we can start from you.
Yeah, sure. I'm Ray, so I'm the tech director of Zemo VC. So I basically work under VC for now.
Oh, beautiful, beautiful.
Nish, and currently I'm also doing, I'm basically with a startup at the moment, co-founding. She isn't here, she's my founder, she's not here anymore. And we specialize in wayfinding and business connect. So it's called, we're part of a company called Wayfinder.
Wayfinder, and what that does, what
Is
that?
we're pioneering a very different sort of social interaction with event spaces and business connectivity within ASEAN.
Okay, very nice. That's pretty cool. So it's like somewhat like Luma. Similar to Luma.
It is, well, not exactly like Luma, but the difference is that the individuals and the events themselves will correlate into specific types of groups.
Mhm.
So it'd be more like individual matching.
Nice. So the platform sort of matches you with the events itself.
Yes, and other people will also be attending it.
Very nice, very nice. That's cool. Hello, good morning.
Yo, hi.
Good afternoon. We're just having introductions.
Yeah.
So if you can just quickly introduce yourself, right on time.
Yeah, my name is Mario. I'm from Monash.
Oh, Monash Blockchain Club.
Yeah,
Oh, Mario. Oh, we're connected before as well.
yeah.
Nice to finally meet you.
I started out Monash Blockchain Club. Yeah, I'm still studying, but like I'm doing a bunch of like Web3 stuff, especially like on Solana and like some AR related work as well. Yeah.
Pretty cool. Pretty cool. Definitely. That's nice.
Right, yeah, I did. Hi everyone. Yeah, some of you know me already. Yeah, so my name is Abel, and yeah, I'm still a university graduate, going to Singapore as a transfer student. Yeah, so I do computer science. I'm also running Nano Labs, one of the organizers for the Chutes hackathon and as well for this workshop. Yeah, great to connect with you all.
Is this recording, by the way?
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
Yes.
Hey, Faz, I'm Rafa. So two things that I do, the AI thing for AI community. So, and also when I'm not too busy at night, I'm doing my MBA as well.
Oh, pretty nice. Where from where?
So Malaysia is an Islamic finance focused central.
Mm-hmm.
So under the central bank,
Mhm.
we have Islamic Finance University.
Very nice.
That's the one.
Very nice. Very nice. So are you working like deeply with like different scholars and stuff as well to like just?
Very much so.
Pretty nice. That's
a lot of stuff.
Islamic like fatwas and whatnot.
Yeah.
Cool stuff. Cool stuff. Yeah. Thank you so much for being here. I'm Fez. That's like my internet name, Fezicals. My real name is Burhan. I'm from Pakistan, and I'm one of the marketing leads. Like I am the marketing lead for Chutes, and that's what we are here for, to introduce Chutes to you guys, talk about what it is, and essentially talk about the problem at hand. Because we feel, personally speaking, like the problem that the world is facing right now, especially in terms of AI and AI infrastructure in general, is pretty huge to the point that it is like AI is, personally speaking, is at the brink of like bursting the bubble. Right, we're pretty close to that, and again, that's what I'm going to be talking about as well, and why sort of the open source route is the way to go moving forward, and why closed source isn't going to cut it anymore. So that's like the main point of this, that the centralized AI economy is structurally broken, and we, by we I mean people of the global south, um, are essentially like people who get the chance to actually contribute to the world's economy through open source AI, and we have been seeing that more so recently as well, with all of the Chinese AI labs that are sort of coming up and building and like competing with those closed source AI labs, and actually like beating them in some ways as well. Like when you see like the latest Kimi models, Kimi K 2.6, etc., is like pretty close to the closed source alternatives. So yeah, thank you so much for Able Nada Labs for hosting, obviously, and let's get right into it. So there's like three things that we're going to be talking about mainly. So first is what obviously why centralized AI is structurally broken, why where the world is actually going, and why we build Chutes, and what is essentially that you can contribute, where how you can essentially contribute to the BitTensor ecosystem, even how you can contribute in Chutes, and how you can essentially use Chutes to better build your apps, to sort of make your process more efficient, be more secure, use AI in a better secure fashion, and yeah, just to be more efficient in that sense. So this is the big number. So $725 billion from 5 companies in 1 year. So this is the capex. So that's like the spend that the big companies, like the big 5 companies, they're spending on AI infrastructure. This is larger than Switzerland's GDP. This is roughly the size of the NATO's non-US defense budget, and like the main concern here is their revenue is a fraction of this. Like Microsoft AI is approximately like 37 billion per year, and Google is also like the Google Cloud is also similar, and the spending is almost 2x on the revenue on capex. So this is like the largest concentrated infracycle in tech history, and this is like a big problem because AI labs and AI cloud companies in general, they're losing a lot of money, and they're just subsidizing it for the sake of just to keep them like the market running, keep the bubble up and running, making it bigger and bigger. And that's the problem at hand, because even when you're paying, for example, OpenAI credits, you're using Anthropic, whatever, and you think that it's pretty expensive what you're doing, but they're incurring a much more bigger loss at their end, and it's like a huge problem when you actually think of it in that sense. So this is a problem at hand, that these companies are not making any revenue, and they're spending quite a lot more than they're actually making. So these are the 5 companies. Amazon spends around 200 billion, Microsoft spends around 190 billion, Alphabet is spending around 185 billion, Meta is spending around 145 billion, and then there's 50 billion that Oracle spends on it. And then obviously add all of that, add OpenAI, add Anthropic, add all of those, then it goes past around like $800 billion globally that is being spent on AI. And yeah, this is the cost of playing the centralized game now, that you need to have a lot of money to be able to do that. And that just like the barrier to entry is just a lot higher. So if you don't have access to that huge amount of money, then essentially you cannot play the AI game anymore. So this is the entry fees essentially. So moving forward, OpenAI, that which we consider like the market leader in the sector, that OpenAI has the most users. OpenAI, like everyone sort of has used GPT in one way or another since 2022, and this is their loss. Like they have incurred minus 14 billion in losses this year alone. They have 900 million users, which is like more people than the population of every country except India and China. And most of them pay obviously nothing, like 94.5 ADA carries a compute cost of nearly every query, and the cumulative loss through 2028, what they've sort of expected is to be more than 444 billion. So like, it's just this loop that essentially everyone is in. They raise more, they spend more, and it's like a bigger hole that sort of people are just sort of going in. And like, it's like the main question is like, if the leader, like the market leader essentially, is losing $14 billion per year, then what does that say about the market structure nowadays? And like, where is the AI industry in general going? Yeah, it's like latest Microsoft survey. It just shows that there's $2 burned for every $1 earned on Inference alone, by the way. So this is before any R&D salaries or rent that goes into it. Again, there's not chips, also electricity that goes into it. That's like a huge problem because the world nowadays is going through energy crisis, obviously with the latest like geopolitical situation as well. When you see the oil costs are rising and the energy costs in general are rising, and AI is just not sustainable anymore with this. The AI data center draw like 1,000 terawatt hours, like that's almost like Germany's entire annual electricity consumption for AI data centers alone. AI data centers are consuming this amount of energy. 40% of the AI data center projects, they are delayed because of grid capacity. There's not enough chip supply. Like even for us, like that is like a big problem nowadays for us as well. Like just trying to source GPUs. While we are decentralized and anyone can essentially add compute to the network, but there's just not enough GPUs in the market that people can contribute with. So, and then obviously there's 70% of the Americans nowadays, they are opposing local data centers just because it just consumes a lot of energy. So obviously you cannot print more electricity, like you can print dollars. Whatever AI looks like next, it cannot be more centralized, concrete, drawing more grid power. So the 5 companies, obviously we have talked about them. We can just skip this one. So this is the thing. Builders, even the builders, like what we consider builders, like people who are building on AI, the 5 companies, they build the infrastructure, they set the model catalog, they set the prices, they keep your data, and they shape the regulation. So everything essentially that you see about AI and AI becoming more of like a commodity nowadays, and it's only just these 5 companies that control each and everything that you have in AI. So it's like essentially you could potentially risk it being very biased. You could potentially risk AI not being accessible to everyone, just because like we have seen this. Like first when calculators came, it was initially with researchers and whatever with mathematicians, and then it sort of came to the point that essentially even school-going kids, they have access to calculators. There were computers, now everyone has access to computers, and that was like it has been very essential. We have phones in our hand that are essentially mini computers as well. Then came internet, and internet became like a wide commodity as well, now to the point that internet is a very essential commodity. Like when there's food, electricity, whatever, right? There's internet. You add internet to that as well, especially for us Gen Z folks. Like we love our internet, right? So the problem is when these 5 companies, they control everything, we risk being locked out of it, or we risk being biased to the extent that it sort of like, there is a problem with AI psychosis. There is a problem with AI sort of gaslighting you into believing what it believes or what like sort of their builders have sort of said it to be. So which is like a huge concern, right? When you actually look at it, especially with the point that we are going to be using AI in our lives much more. So it's only just going to keep getting increasing, right? And that's like a huge risk when you look at it, if certain people are only controlling what sort of goes in and what's the output, right? So we consume what they ship, even when we are builders. We pay the API prices set by them. We accept the terms set by them. We trust them with our data, and like trust me, like AI knows a lot about you than you actually realize. And we hope the model isn't deprecated like GPT 4.1 is like a huge loss. And then obviously we don't have a seat at the table in that sense. It's only those 5 companies that do it. So the main thing is privacy. So privacy is going to be like the main topic of this talk as well. So the real workloads, for example, when you're actually looking into AI and whatnot, especially with enterprise clients, they want their privacy. So a doctor reasoning about a patient's symptoms, like obviously health data is something that you cannot essentially give access to everyone to it, and that's why like a lot of these companies have not been able to sort of be AI friendly in that sense. So most providers began themselves broad rights to read, log, train on, and share your prompts, not just the engineers and contractors. So your prompt might pass through hands you've never heard of, working for companies you didn't know even existed. So that's like a huge, huge problem. Now, where the world actually goes from it, and what's like the problem statement. So there's three forces actually shaping AI in 2026. So this was like the DeepSeek movement, very like everyone sort of knows about it. In January 2025, DeepSeek essentially released their DeepSeek R1, and the main thing was the training cost. So it was like 20 to 50x cheaper to serve than OpenAI's O1. It matched them on reasoning benchmarks, and the whole AI market crashed for like a week or so, right? And this was trained in like $6 million approximately, when like the closed source alternative was like $100 million plus. So that's why like the whole AI market was seemed to be like the bubble was supposed to be bursted after that, but obviously that didn't happen. So they released the ways to open license it, anyone could download them, deploy them, fine tune them, run them. And since then, we have sort of seen more and more open source labs come up. We have seen Kimi K2 models, like the Kimi K2.6 model being the recent one. We have seen GLM 5.1, we have seen Q1 3.5, obviously Minimax 2.5, that's like a really, really good model. We see DeepSeek V3.4 now, I think the latest one is V3.2. So every few months, a new open weight model sort of comes up, and it competes with the frontier models, which is like the main thing that we are sort of seeing is AI being more democratized and going into the hands of a lot more people. So 90% of the future AI spend is inference, not training. So training is one cost. It's like a one-time thing. You build a model, so that's like one-time build. You do what you spend it one time, and then you move on. So that obviously requires tight coordination between GPUs, high bandwidth, co-located clusters, and whatnot. It's hard to distribute, but easy to concentrate. But the inference is the main thing, and that is where most of the providers are losing money on as well, and that is where most of the global energy is being spent on as well. So a bill that comes to every prompt forever, and a query goes to one GPU, it gets answered, it comes back, and there's a cost associated obviously with that. So the essential thing is what Chutes is moving towards as well, and which is like the main thing, is the hardware already exists. So that's like the main thing that we are sort of moving towards as well, is that we don't need $725 billion of new data centers. The hardware to serve the next decade already exists. It's just scattered, idle, and uncoordinated. So we have gaming PCs, which can run a quantized 70 billion parameter model. We have crypto miners, we have university clusters, we have idle, we have GPUs that are sitting idle, we have sovereign clouds, obviously regional GPUs with capacity they would want to monetize, we have small data centers, we have indie hardware in closets that is already sitting. So that's what Chutes is trying to do, and that's what Chutes is. It is at the very basic level, this is what Chutes is. It is an OpenAI compatible API for open source AI models on a decentralized GPU market. What that essentially means is there are open source models that are hosted on our platform. Be it, we have all of the biggest frontier models on our platform. That's like GLM, Kimi K2, all of the Kimi basically bigger models, GLM and whatnot. Main thing is there's no new SDK. It's the same OpenAI compatible API. You can use it. You just change two lines. You change the base URL. You add in the API key, and voila, it's good to go. Like anything that works with OpenAI, you can use that with Chutes. So any sort of integration, any sort of application that you're building, you can essentially just use Chutes rather than that. There's obviously no deprecation risk, and we don't own the GPU. So how it essentially works is, let me. I think this would be a better slide to sort of start with. So Chutes is built on 764, which is essentially on BitTensor. Does anyone know what BitTensor is? I'm sure Mario would know. Are you familiar with BitTensor? Okay. So BitTensor is a blockchain essentially. It has its own token. It's called Tau. It is available on all of the major crypto exchanges and stuff as well. So what is Tau sort of comprised of? Tau is a network, and that network has 128 different subnets. And what a subnet is essentially a company or a project in the network that sort of contributes towards the network. So Chutes is one of the subnets on BitTensor as well. Chutes is subnet 64. Chutes is also the biggest subnet on BitTensor in terms of market size, etc. But yeah, how it essentially works. So there are different subnets, and then in each subnet there are three sort of core categories, you can say. So there are miners, there are validators, and there are the owners or the incentive makers, essentially. So the miners, in Chutes' context, these are the people who provide the GPUs. And this is where I was saying that anyone in the world can essentially provide GPUs. We have a lot of AI data centers that we work with. So whenever, for example, their data centers they have idle capacity running, they contribute to the network and they get paid out of it. I'll obviously talk about how they get essentially paid as well. So we have a lot of individual contributors as well, like people who just have to have these like H100, H200, V200 sitting around. They contribute to the network as well. So we have a lot of individual contributors as well. And then we have a lot of data center partnerships. We are also building something where it's like proprietary model training. So you know how with Bitcoin, it was everyone can essentially provide compute, and any GPUs that you have essentially at home, you can use them to mine Bitcoin. So it's going to be essentially the same thing, that you can use the GPUs that you have at your home to train big models, like a 1 trillion parameter model, or like 70 billion or 100 billion or 10 trillion parameter model. And
is it like every sharding? So it's like every user they will host like some of the weights of the model.
yes.
Okay.
So they'll be able to host some of it. And the main thing is it's so for example, if you are getting the request, it is going to be completely private. Like you won't be able to see like the data that is being trained on. So for example, what we plan on doing is we plan on having model training as a service open. So for example, all of these big AI labs, right? For example, we have TNG. I don't know if you guys have heard of them. They had the DeepSeek R1T models that were really, really popular in the role-playing communities. So we have a potential thing coming up with them is that they are sort of willing to train their models on this sort of the technology that we're sort of bringing. It's called Parallax. It's still in development. We haven't really marketed that yet. Still sort of like teasing that, but it's going to be coming out really, really soon. And I think for us, that is the thing that changes the world as we see it, because right now hardware is a big constraint, and when everyone who has GPUs, so how we essentially envision it to be, like you will be able to train or provide compute through your phones as well. Like anything that is able to process information, anything that has processing power, you will be able to contribute to model training through that. So that solves like a huge, huge problem nowadays. So that's how it works. The miners, they contribute to the network, they provide the GPUs. The validators, they score the miners on quality, speed, reliability, just so that, for example, the models that the miners are hosting, they're not quantized, or they're not like of a lower quality. So the miners score them. Obviously, the owners, us, that is the team. We then build like the UI, we handle the payments, the billing, and all of that. So that side of things. So Chutes has like market cap of 111 million, and it's like the first subnet that went over 100 million market cap as well. Yeah, coming back. So just to give you guys an insight where we are right now, Chutes serves around 100 billion plus tokens. About 100 billion. It has sort of decreased because of the fact that we just didn't have enough GPUs, that we lost a lot of GPUs, especially with the global crisis that has been happening, and that sort of led us to sort of start focusing on this new like proprietary model training thing as well. Around right now we serve about like 70, 50, like 50 plus for sure, like around like 70 to 100 billion plus tokens every day. We have around 700k plus users. This is a bit older number on the platform across people who use our API, people who are signed up on the platform, people who use our direct API is like 100k plus. And OpenRouter, I'm sure you guys must be familiar with what OpenRouter is. It's an AI sort of marketplace. We are one of the top providers on OpenRouter as well. Okay, so this is how it works. You post, you send a request, it goes out to the validators, they will score, the validators score the request, dozens of independent validators, they rate miners continuously on speed, reliability, capacity, routing, picks the best fit. Then obviously the miner serves those requests. They are the ones who like host those GPUs. Could be a data center in Singapore, a base managed 100, base management run in Berlin, a cluster in KL, like Inference runs in a TE. Now I'm going to come to the TE part in a bit. So again, that's like the main point. It's permissionless. Anyone from anywhere in the world can essentially contribute to it. So you're not locked in through geography. You don't have to essentially be in a particular country to do that. Even someone in Iran, even someone in Russia, anywhere in the world, people from China, anywhere in the world, they can contribute compute, because at the end of the day, it's just compute that they're contributing. It's not sort of they don't control what sort of goes in. They don't control what are like the requests that come back. They don't control anything. At the end of the day, they're just contributing compute, and that's what they get paid for as well. So they get their response back, and that's how it works. I'm going to come to how the miners get paid and essentially as well. So this is what it is. So how it works: when you sign up on Chutes, you pay USD. You can pay through USD or Tau, could be through Stripe or wallet or whatever. Then that essentially it gets auto staked. So how it works is BitTensor is obviously BitTensor has its own coin, and then all of these subnets, right? Each of the subnets have their own crypto token essentially, and that's like the currency that the miners or the owners like us. So I get paid in alpha tokens, Chutes alpha tokens, right? So this money automatically gets staked into SN64. So essentially, what is happening is any sort of transaction that you do, any credits that you add, of this amount of USD or Tau, it automatically buys that amount's like alpha token. So that sort of rises the price automatically. Then that sort of goes into our emission pool. Emission pool is essentially, so the network itself, it pays a certain amount to all of these people. So there's 18% that goes to, so that's like the chain that pays us, that pays the miners essentially. So there's, I think, 40% that goes out to the miners, 18% goes out to the validators, 18% goes out to the owners, and I think there's like 40% that goes out to the validators. So the emissions, they're higher payouts, miners earn more Tau, miners get more sort of alpha tokens through that. There's more miners, the network grows, and when the network grows, so how it works is these miners are essentially competing. So they're competing on making and finding out more and more efficient ways to host those models. So that's essentially like a competitive loop that, hey, one miner figures out something that is really like a really efficient way to run a particular model, for example. Then that miner, obviously, then they're incurring a lesser cost, and they're able to serve more requests in the GPU or the hardware that they're essentially providing. So it's like a constant competitive loop, and that's like the point of BitTensor. It like where it is permissionless, it is absolutely democratic. Like if you can actually be on merit, if you if you are competitive in what you're doing, you can come on top irrespective of wherever you are in the world, right? So there's more miners, the network grows. That obviously there's lower prices because of the efficient ways that the miners are sort of allocating the hardware that they have. And then when there are lower prices, more users sign up. There's more revenue, and the loop tightens. So there's more revenue, more sort of USD comes in. It gets staked into the token. There's more higher payouts. The miners obviously, so the network grows in this way. And this is like a very sustainable model that we feel there is. So it's a different cost structure, not a temporary subsidy, to the point that the costs that have to be like on a central provider, they own the GPUs, which is obviously, we have talked about it, they have multi-billion dollars of CapEx cost. They have multi-year data center leases, they have a VC cap table, they have enterprise sales teams, they have marketing budget in hundreds of millions. The CapEx stacks up in billion-dollar chunks. Whereas with Chutes, the thing is we have no GPUs. We coordinate with what operators already own, and it's a miner's headache to sort of think about GPUs and how to provide compute. We have no long-term data center leases. We have to align incentives, not VC. We haven't raised VC funds at all. We have distribution via Open Router. We have community integrations. A lot of bit tensors own subnets. They use Chutes, so it's like building on top of subnets. That happens as well. We have a ton of different other integrations as well. Like there was a YC backed game that essentially got integrated with Chutes. It was called Pax Astoria. So we have been sort of growing in that sense as well, and it's going to be more and more. We're waiting for this DPA thing that to sort of come up, and then we're also looking forward to integrate with more enterprise clients as well. Then obviously already revenue positive on Inference. Miners are paid per token minus cost, and that's how it is. There's one thing to talk about here is that like some analysts have argued that our Inference would be 1.6 to like 3.5 times more expensive without DAO emission subsidies. That's obviously true. The argument isn't that there is no subsidy at all. It's that the subsidy is paid by token holders making a long-term bet on the network, not VCs demanding 78 returns. So it's the beauty of like the crypto sort of network that sort of runs this whole thing. Like you guys can probably research on how the BitTensor ecosystem works right after this. But yeah, this is our current catalog. These are the models that we run. The QJ216, these are all of the frontier models. And again, main thing is the price. So one of the Chutes' main USPs is the fact that we are low cost, and it's this thing. TEE. This is confidential compute. We don't train on your data. We don't show your prompts. Even the GPU providers, the miners, they cannot see your data at all. So it's completely private. It's completely secure. And there are sort of guarantees that are in place. So our TEE configuration is completely open source. You can go to our GitHub page. You can actually verify it through keys that are in it. So it's completely out there. Like we are very open about each and everything. Like even if you go onto the Chutes' website, like our revenue is there. Everything is again verifiable. Everything is on our GitHub page, and that's like the beauty of open source, right? There's no hidden things in it. And then just to get started, there's just 2 lines, and that's like the whole onboarding. So if your code already calls OpenAI's API, point the base URL, just point the base URL, Chutes, swap the key, the OpenAI Python JS SDKs work unchanged. What you get is you get tool calling, streaming, JSON mode, hardware isolating Inference, which is like the TEE models. And then, so any model that sort of has confidential compute true, you can essentially, those are the TEE models, essentially. So, yeah, that's pretty much it. And then this is how you can essentially migrate to Chutes. If you use an OpenAI compatible SDK, you just change that. And if you use Cloud Code, Codex, Cursor, you can essentially run Chutes on all of those as well. If you guys want, I can share like these scripts as well on the Discord, and I can also share the docs with you guys as well. It's all pretty much all of it is in the docs, like chutes.ai/docs/docs. You just go in there, each and everything you'll find it there. So Chutes has a Anthropic proxy as well, so it can connect with Cloud Code, it can connect with Codex, it can connect with Cursor. Because again, at the end of the day, it's an OpenAI compatible endpoint. So when you see with Cursor, it has that option as well. So you can use that across the board. So this is our main thing, which is trusted execution environments, which is the confidential compute part of things. We have 12 or 14 LLMs, which is default TEE. So we use NVIDIA confidential compute. It encrypts a VRAM, host, OS, can't read model, weights, or prompts. We have the Intel TDX trust domain, encrypts main memory, verifies running software integrity. And we have hardware side attestation to find that we have cryptographic proof. You can verify it yourself through the GitHub as well. But yeah, what this protects against is obviously the miners running your Inference. They cannot read your prompts at all, even though it's their hardware. Host, OS can't peek, and physical access can't extract keys from the RAM. There's one thing though with TEE is that our load balancer at the API still sees prompts in plain text, and we need that to route obviously bill, rate, limit, order, etc., etc. And if you are like, hey, I don't even want that to happen, like Chutes cannot see my, like shouldn't itself see this at all. So we have a solution for that as well, which is our end-to-end encryption, which is even we can see your data, our validators can see your data. Prompts encrypt on your machine. They travel as opaque ciphertext. They decrypt only inside the TEE enclave on the miner's GPU, and no one, at least to my knowledge, in Inference offers this right now. So this is post-quantum verifiable. Like there's a couple of like quantum compute subnets on BitTensor as well, and we were like, hey, at least even if it gets that good, then this is a protection against that as well. Again, you can probably read about more like the technical integrations into that as well. I'm not a technical person, so I'm not going to personally go into that. But there's two ways that you can essentially integrate it. Is you can do it through HTTPX transport for OpenAI AI SDK, and it's literally just 3 lines of setup. And then there's a Docker proxy, which is essentially stays on your computer, and then any prompts that you send through that, they are essentially encrypted. But yeah, we literally cannot read your prompts, not even our engineers, no one else. Okay, so these are the things that Chutes offers. Again, the point is you don't have to essentially switch according to Chutes. Chutes sort of comes to you where we already integrate with the things that you're already using. So Cloud Code, we have a Cloud proxy. Coding Agent, we have an OpenAI Codex proxy. We integrate with Cursor, Roo, Kilo, any of the coding agents, right? Open code as well. You can run your own agent, OpenClaw. Chutes already has an integration with OpenClaw. So for example, whenever you're using OpenClaw, Chutes comes on as a default provider on OpenClaw. So whenever you're setting up, you can literally just select Chutes, and that's how it happens. We also have a Versal AI SDK. You can just pick Chutes in your Next.js app as well. We also have our very own N10 community nodes as well. So for example, if you aren't a technical person like myself, you can literally just use N10 to build no-code workflows in that sense. So all of the models that we essentially have, we have image-to-text models, text-to-speech models, image-to-image models, again, large language models as well, and we have a video model that's coming up really soon in like the next 2 to 3 days as well. So all of that is, again, runnable through the N10 community nodes as well. We have our very own like AI agent nodes, etc., as well. So you can essentially, again, just start using that. We have like Hermes agent options as well. Like Hermes is really popular nowadays. And again, OpenRouter is one of our like major distribution channels. We were at one point, like a couple of months back, one of the biggest provider on OpenRouter as well. We have sort of again decreased number in that sense just because of the global GPU shortage. There are just not enough GPUs for us to like again handle those queries. But yeah, that is what it is. And again, we also have some consumer apps as well. We are kind of more than an API, and that's what we are here to do as well, is for you guys to build using Chutes and to build more and more consumer apps that we can essentially, that people can essentially use. Because this is the main thing that we want for open source to become more and more accessible. And for that, we obviously need more consumer apps using open source apps. So we have Chutes Chat, which is essentially our version of GPT. So it's our version of ChatGPT. So you literally just go to chat.chutes.ai, which is our version of ChatGPT. Just log in and you can start using it. It's completely secure. It uses all of the TE models. We have image models on it as well. It stores your like there's inbuilt memory, like how ChatGPT sort of remembers things about you. It does that as well. We have Chutes Search, which is sort of our version of Perplexity browser. So you can essentially use that as well. It's AI-powered search. We have Fictio, which is essentially our platform for custom AI experiences and building like AI characters and whatnot. You can use that, and this is like the main thing, which is sign in with Chutes, which is essentially OAuth for AI apps. So what that does is it does two things. It is OAuth and it is Inference as well. So your user, so Chutes handles everything for you. You just build the app on top of it. Chutes handles the OAuth for you, and it handles the inference part for you as well. So you just add sign in with Chutes on your app. Users can essentially sign in through Chutes, and they just use their sort of subscription on their sort of credits to run inference on your end, and you don't have to scale inference on your own, because this is something that we have seen as well. A lot of sort of app developers, they use AI, but then when, for example, the inference cost gets too much, and then at the end of the day, they're struggling with how to sort of keep up with their own costs and then the rising inference bill on top of it. So that's what we sort of solved with sign in with Chutes, and this has become a pretty popular thing that people have been using, and this is something that we want people to use more and more as well, because again, this is solving the problem of making open source AI more and more accessible and going towards more of a sustainable future with AI. So this is like the price cap. When you see Cloud Opus 4.6, it is $5 for a million input tokens and $25 for a million output tokens. GPT 5.5, again 5 and 30. And these are the closed source alternatives, where it's like 7% cheaper, 7x cheaper, 59x cheaper, 21x cheaper, and 250x cheaper output. This is like the thing that is at hand. It is much, much cheaper when you are not getting like that much of a drop in quality, like especially when you look at Kimi K2.6 and Minimax M2.5 and the recent like GLM 5.1, I think, model as well. Those are actually like really flipping good models. Like you can actually use those for real world tasks and like professional level like output as well. But yeah, this is a couple of examples that you can essentially use. You can use ATE only AI app, where the workloads where prompt must stay private. It could be legal use cases, medical use cases, internal docs. Just default to ATE models, add end-to-end proxy if threat model demands it. Again, you can essentially play with it. So this is something that we would personally be really interested in seeing if you are building something that is privacy focused, because again, Chutes is what we sort of want to be, is like become the provider for secure inference and be the most safest inference provider out there, while also being low cost as well. So you can build TE-only apps, you can build a agentic workflow. Again, you can build OpenClaw agents, you can build Hermes agents and like self-orchestrating agents in that sense. Maybe like something marketing related or something productivity related, where it's like a person like, there's like a very cliched version is like always like the Jarvis. You build a Jarvis, right? But again, you can use that with you can essentially just build a Hermes agent on top of it, connect it with a couple of tools, and that could be something. Again, this is like the main thing. That's why we have a price category to attach to it as well, which is like a sign in with Chutes app. You ship an AI product without funding Inference yourself. User authenticate, you call their credits, and this is like the best use of sign in with Chutes wins a prize as well. You can create multilingual Southeast Asian content as well. And then you can also create AI embedded in a mobile flow. Like this is something that we are also looking forward to as well, like mobile apps, because Chutes doesn't have any mobile apps itself as well. So if you want to create that, that'll be really, really cool as well. You can have a tutor as well, like an open source AI tutor for Southeast Asian students. Again, feel free to do whatever in that sense. And this is it. The setup and docs, you can go to chutes.ai/app. You can go to sort of setup, you go to docs.chutes.ai for any API references, any docs. You can go to the GitHub for Chutes to verify anything, you want to see anything, learn more how it works, verify everything. It's all auditable there. And then we also have the hackathon specific Discord channel. You can be there, ask questions, whatever. And then if there are any questions, we're happy to take them here as well. And then obviously on Discord, you can always just feel free to tag me. And the free Chutes credits. So what we are sort of doing is you have already sent the docs form there, and everyone is supposed to add their usernames on it. And how it's going to work is that on those usernames, we're just going to add temporary subscriptions to you guys, and that's how you can essentially use Chutes, build using Chutes. Again, just to clarify, I was talking to Rafa about this earlier as well. We don't want you guys to essentially use Chutes to code it as well. Like if you're comfortable, like we might just use Opus 4.7 or whatever as well. Main thing is you're using Chutes in a meaningful way within your application. So you're using like there's like a TE focused thing that you can probably work on. There's like you can use open source models to make something accessible and democratic in a way. So again, it completely depends on you guys. Just make sure that it's something meaningful. It's something that Chutes stands for. I've already given you the problem statement, what we are standing for, what we want, and what is our sort of purpose with this. Again, there's something that our team feels about very, very deeply, is making sure that AI remains accessible to everyone. and that is what we are sort of working towards as well. And we just hope that we can build something that contributes in a positive way for humanity. And yeah, that is pretty much it. Open to any questions.
Under our Privacy Data Protection Act, how does this fit in when it comes to data being managed in such a method?
Okay, so for those, we are getting a DPA ready. So the way that Chutes is structured, that has been a problem for us in getting those sort of sorted, because for those you sort of need government certificates and whatnot. So that's something that we are going towards a different structure as well in terms of our company, the way it's structured. So hopefully within a month or two, that should even be sorted as well. That even then, for example, if you want any DPA agreements or like contractual agreements, so we have algorithmic agreements already, right? So you can just literally go in and verify everything, right? But in terms of, for example, when at times you might need a certificate or a contract to show for it, right? So that is coming up really, really soon as well, and that is something that we are working towards. So if you want, we can connect later, and we can have a like I can connect you with my sales team and whatever, and we can have like a longer discussion on that, on how we can essentially like cater to your specific use case. Okay. Any other questions? Any feedback?
Alright, cool. Thanks everyone. So if there are any more questions, any more feedback, yeah, you're always open on Discord. And yeah, feel free to just share about your questions or feedback there. And yeah, so that's the end of the workshop. And thanks, Fez, as well, for coming down to Malaysia, coming here in person to share this workshop. Yeah, the recording will be available as well on YouTube. Yeah. Right now, I'm thinking we're just going to have a quick, maybe a group photo.
Sure,
yeah, maybe the background can just be the Chutes logo as well. Yeah, and then I'll just get the staff here to help take a group photo.
Let me just do the Chutes
Yep,
website.
Yeah, after the group photo, as part of courtesy of our very sponsor here as well, really thankful to A58. So they'll be having like just a quick tour of the whole co-working space around the floor for you guys, like to explore what it's like to like work here and do your projects here as well. Yeah, so I'll get the staff here to take a group photo first.
I want to ask, right? So when you say like training a model with decentralized method, and you mentioned that it will be chunked into different instances, right? So, but in my understanding is, would that create a lot of frictions because you have to keep passing the inputs and outputs of each weights along the chain of the inputs?
So it's not essentially chain. So how it essentially works is it's a central structure in between, and then that central structure. So there's like a couple of big GPUs, so it's like an H200 or a B200 or a couple of clusters of B200s in between,
Right.
And then so that is handling like the main compute part, and then essentially the other parts of it where it's like. So 20% or something happens. Again, I'm not a technical person. I'm probably not the right person to be answering this as well. But how it works, according to my understanding, is it then goes into chunks to other providers, which essentially like could be a streamer who is also streaming, and then one of his idle GPUs is doing model training on the side as well, and then since he's providing compute for the model training, he's then earning as well. So when his GPU is idle, he's essentially earning Chutes alpha on the sides as well. So that's gonna be like how Bitcoin is, like people mine Bitcoin, right? You can essentially just compute to the network, earn money while also adding to and contributing to the development of open source AI.
Right. So that means like it's technically not chunking, but it's like clusters.
Yes.
Got it. Right. So I probably need to get a H100 to be a miner, right?
Yeah. No. Like you don't essentially have that. Again, as I said, you can even like contribute compute with your phone as well. That's how we want it to be.
But it will be very small, right? Like,
It'll be at a very, very small capacity. Yes.
Yeah, and my phone probably can't hold even like 4 million.
So that's not essential. So it's like it can even just be like kilobytes or MBs of data or like GBs of data that you're essentially processing at once. So it does not have to be like the full model weights on one platform. So you don't essentially have to be able to host, like, for example, if it's like the 10 trillion parameter model, you don't have to host all of that on your GPU.
Right.
So it's like chunks that go on, but those chunks are completely private, and then the main cluster sort of handles like the main sort of processing of it all. Again, we have a white paper coming out for that very, very soon as well. It's still like being in the patent process, I think, right now. And then once it's done, we'll obviously love to share it with you guys as well and get an insight on how it's working, because we really think that it's going to be a really breakthrough technology.
How about the unique components? Like, for example, like if I, because I have friends that do miners as well, so they'll rent like a factory to put all the GPUs there. So the initial investment is quite big. In that case, right, if I run it on Chutes, like how long would the return be?
So you're essentially saying from providing compute for just for running AI
to get like a sense of like the ROI of.
So the ROI again depends on, obviously it's hourly rates, right? You contribute to it, you get paid in Chutes alpha tokens, and with alpha tokens it obviously depends on the alpha token price, and it also depends on tau tokens price. So right now our miners are mostly profitable. Again, it depends on where in the world are you from, what are the electricity costs associated with it. If you want help in getting set up, or if you want help in sort of like, knowing how it all works, you can essentially explore our docs as well. So that sort of takes you through how you can essentially set up, what you can essentially expect. And again, main thing depends on how efficient you can make it. So the more efficient that you can make your setup, the more essentially the more profitable you can actually be. So it depends on that. Yeah. Most of our miners are pretty profitable and they're making a decent chunk.
Awesome. Yeah, so let's just take a quick photo. Yeah. Sure. All right, I'll just get Rafa in as well.
Not for this, we're also having we're also like being sponsors for if you that's the
Awesome. The reading room? This one. Oh, I see.
Just reading it.
Cool. Okay, guys. Yeah, let's just go to take a quick. Awesome.
Oh, okay, that's
Yeah, awesome.
Okay, 1, 2, 3. We can move a bit to here.
Okay.
Right, 1, 2, 3. Any pose?
Is there any extra logo?
Is there like a gang sign that you have?
Okay. One last one. 1,
Okay.
2, 3. Okay.
Awesome. All right. Okay, thanks everyone.
Thanks so much, guys. Really appreciate
Thank you so
it.
much for your time.
Huh?
Yeah, thank you so much. Really nice to meet you.
Yeah, wow.
How long have you been doing this? I've heard quite a lot of big answers. I have a friend that is running on something I forgot which one. Yeah, how long have you guys been doing?
So Chutes has been around for like 1.5 years. So we started January. That's cool. That's cool. And Chutes is like the biggest ever.
Yeah, it's quite. Yeah.
Yeah, really cool. If you want, we can definitely connect.
Do you guys have like some affiliate models?
Affiliate models.
For example, like, so I have a friend that is doing like mining farms. So because like, the cost of them running the machine is lower than running the Bitcoin. So they have quite a few of the redundant GPUs.
We'd love to, like, if they're interested in having it, we'd love to have like an onboarding call with them, getting them onboarded as miners. Because we are, again, as I told you, we're kind of having a situation where we don't essentially have that much compute against the program. Sort of thing.
You staying or you just leaving right away or something?
I mean, I can be here for like 30 minutes.
Cool. Okay. Oh, first word. Yeah, so apparently there's someone else using the room. Yeah, 4 p.m. onwards.
Okay.
Yeah, so.
Oh, by the way, sorry, before I forget, we have shirts as well.
Right.
So let's definitely catch up. We can have it all as well.
Sounds
Like, I can have like my CS team come on as well.
Yeah.
We can have it on.
Yeah, lots of my China friends are doing this.
Oh, it's the same one that you already.
Yeah, it's the same one. Thank you. Appreciate it.